Hi, Jeremy Nagel here with a video on 3 important steps to take when you're setting up your CRM for the first time. There are 3 things that I always encourage people to do when they first create a CRM account. The basic thing is, of course, to modify the logo so that it has your own business name there, all that kind of stuff. But another important thing that many people don't realize that they can do and should do is, 1, to prevent exporting for your staff. I haven't encountered a business yet that has decided that they want their staff to be able to export out all of the leads. What you should do when you first set up your CRM is create a new user profile. You do this by going to Setup, Users, Profiles, and then do New Profile, Clone Profile from Standard, and I just call it Standard, No Export. I mean, you might trust your people explicitly, but there's no point in taking chances. There aren't many situations where people need to export out leads and accounts, and there are many situations where it has really affected businesses where a salesperson has gone rogue, taken a customer list with them, and you can't really do much about it. So the way to avoid it is, well, 1, to always be on good terms with your people and to make sure you hire the right trustworthy people. But the other side of it too is to block people from doing malicious actions. So you can go into this profile and you can uncheck delete options. You also don't want them to be able to delete leads. So I do that for every single module. And there's also mass delete down the bottom. And there's also the exporting. We don't want people to be able to mass export leads. So if we go down, also what you can do to make it easier is if you press Control F or Command F on a Mac, you can find all of the instances of delete. It'll show up in yellow. So we want to uncheck all of these, any kind of mass deletion we don't want, and then we'll also find export. I'll just pause it while I do that. So I've now searched for export, and you can see there's another bunch of search results here that I will also uncheck. This does mean that if you want people to be able to, say, export from reports, if you trust them enough, then you should probably enable this. But to be honest, I always ask my clients when I start with them, do you want your people to be able to export out your database? And no one so far has said yes, even though they trust their people. It's not anything, it's not an issue of trust really, it's just an issue of being pragmatic. So we'll save that, and then what you can do is when you create a new user, you can decide which profile to add them to. So if I click Add New User, I've got the option here under Profile to choose Standard No Export. So I recommend that you do set up that profile and also make sure that when you create new users that you do choose that profile. Okay, so that's step 1. The other thing that I recommend that you do is that you go into data administration and set up regular backups. You've got the data backup feature here, and you can make it repeat monthly. And depending on what plan you're on, this is generally free. So you'll do ends never, basically. And then every month, you'll get a backup of your data. This is useful because you want to have a copy of your data just in case, Zoho goes bankrupt. Hopefully that will never happen. They seem to be doing pretty well, but just in case, you want to have that as a contingency plan. And also, if you want to do any kind of data analysis, big reporting, you can't really get much data out of the system unless you do the data backup. I mean, you can do export data, but as it says here, you can only get 3,000 records out. And you also can't get some of the modules. For example, there's invoices here, but it doesn't come with line items. There are many limitations of doing it from the export data or from exporting from a report. If you want to get absolutely everything, data backup is the best. So that's tip number 2. And then tip number 3 is to find out what your BCC Dropbox is. If you go to Personal Settings, Email Settings, and then BCC Dropbox, you will have your BCC Dropbox email address. And if you use this, it will make it really easy then for you to add leads into the system without having to worry about manually entering them. This will save you a lot of double entry time, and it'll make it less of a pain to use. Basically, if you forward or BCC an email to this address, then it'll go in as a new lead, or if you've already got them converted as a contact, it will be associated with that record. So it's really handy for keeping track of client communication and also for adding new leads. Okay,